continuing on with review worksheet 8, we're on question 5. So now we want to write the equation of a line with the slope of -3 through the point -2,5. So in this case, they give me a slope and a point. I don't need to do any sort of work here. It tells me my slope and it tells me my point. So immediately from here, I can go to point slope form. So remember, point slope form is y minus y1, which in this case is 5, equals my slope, which is -3, times x minus x1. I'm subtracting a -2. So if I subtract a -2, that's the same thing as adding 2. All right. And now, if I read the question, it wants me to go all the way to standard form. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute -3. So we're going to get y minus 5 equals -3x. Negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 2 is 6. All right. Last step to actually getting y by itself then, we're going to add 5 to both sides. And we're left with y equals -3x. -6 plus 5 is actually -1. All right. So now standard form, remember, that's the ax plus by equals c. Oops. Ax plus by equals c. So right now, I'm in slope-intercept form. So I need to go that extra step to actually get it in standard form. So to do that, I need to get my x to the other side, because I have my x term, then my y term, then my c, or then any other numbers. So I'm going to add 3x over to the other side. So when I do that, I'm going to have a positive 3x plus y on this side. On this one, my 3x's are going to cancel. I'm left with a -1 on this side. So now looking at this, I want to check the coefficient of my x term. In this case, it's a positive 3. It's not a negative, it's not a fraction. So in this case, it's actually already in standard form for us. So the equation of a line with a slope of -3 through the point -2,5 in standard form looks like this. That is the equation of that line. Okay. So now number 6, a line perpendicular to the line y equals -1/3 x plus 1 through the point 3, 1. So from this, again, the reason that they tell us this line is so that we can interpret the slope from it. So since it's actually already in slope-intercept form, I can tell right off the bat that my slope is -1/3. So the slope of this line is -1/3. Now, if I want to write the equation of a different line that's perpendicular to this one, I know in this case, since our slope is -1/3, the slope of my new line has to be the opposite reciprocal of this. So my new slope is going to have to be, if we flip this, remember, so that's really 3 over -1. And then if we take the opposite, remember that means take the opposite sign of what it really is. So in this case, since I have a negative, this is now going to become a positive. So my new slope, 3 over 1, or just 3. Because look at these. The slopes of both of these lines, the opposite reciprocal of -1/3 is 3. So if I have two lines that have -1/3 as one and 3 as the slope of the other line, I know that they're going to be perpendicular. So now's the point where it's important that they tell us the point that we're going through. Because it's saying I want to write the equation on the line with the slope of 3 through the point 3, 1. So now we're through the point 3, 1. And from here, I have a point and a slope. So this is where we're going to go to point slope form first. So y minus my y1, which is 1, equals my slope times x minus x1, which is 3. And they want me to go to slope-intercept form. So I have to go a little farther. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute my 3. So 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times a -3 is going to be a -9. Last step to getting it in slope-intercept form, because that's when y is alone by itself. So to do that, I need to get rid of the 1, and I need to add 1 to both sides. In doing so, a -1 plus 1, those are going to cancel. And my last step is 3x, -9 plus 1 is going to be a -8. So in this case, slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We are there. So the equation of this line in slope-intercept form is y equals 3x minus 8. Okay. So number 7, a line perpendicular to the line y equals -1 through the point 3, 5. So what this is saying is on my graph, if I like to do a quick sketch, but on my graph, this is saying I have a line already in this line, y equals -1, is already on my graph. So y equals -1, remember that y equals, that crosses my y-axis, in this case at -1. So that's a little off, but that's a horizontal line through when y is -1. Now, we want to write the equation of a line perpendicular to that through the point 3, 5. So a line perpendicular to this, so if I have a horizontal line, I know that a line perpendicular to that is automatically going to be a vertical line. And it's important now because I know it's a vertical line. So if you can't answer, but there's a lot of vertical lines that could be on this graph. It's telling us specifically it has to be the one through 3, 5. So 3, 5, if we do a quick sketch, we'd go over 3, right? And we go up 5. So my point would be somewhere up here. And in order to be a perpendicular line to this, remember that's when we have to have our horizontal line through that point, and that's a horrible horizontal line, but work with me here. So horizontal line through the point 3, 5. So in this case, it crosses my x-axis. So it starts as x equals. And then all of the x values along this line, we always go over 3. So in this case, this equation of this line is x equals 3. So remember, whenever we're dealing with horizontal or vertical lines, these are the easy ones. These are the ones where you don't have to go to any sort of form. I know if I have a y equals -1, and I have a line perpendicular to that, I know instead of being a horizontal, it's going to be a vertical. So last one on this page, number 8, we want to write the equation of a line through the points 2, 3 and -4, 1, and we want to write it in point slope form. So the first thing that we have to do, since I know my points, but I don't know the slope between these 2 points. So that's the first thing I need to do here. So I want to find the slope. So y2 minus y1, 1 minus 3, all over x2 minus x1, so -4 minus 2. So simplifying my numerator, 1 minus 3 is -2, and -4 minus 2 is -6. So simplifying, we can simplify this further because I have a negative over a negative, so those are now going to become positive. And we can reduce 2 over 6, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Because 2 goes into both of those, so we can actually reduce them further. So my slope here is going to be 1/3, and now I know a slope, and I know my point. So from here, I need to go to point slope form first. And that's actually where I have to stop, because if we read our directions, I only have to go as far as point slope form. So plugging everything in, we have y minus y1, in this case we're using 3, equals our slope, which is 1/3, times x minus x1, which is 2. So the final equation of this line in point slope form is right there. Right? So stay tuned for page 2.